What's up, guys? It's Dr. Price, and I'm here to help you prepare for the USMLE. I'm the CEO and founder of Action Potential Mentoring, and I'm currently in vascular surgery. So let's get this started. Thank you again for joining, and let's learn and let's get better together.
Okay, so what about if it's an acute damage to your adrenal gland? So it's not something that's long-term. What if it's acute? Well, the most common is actually going to be massive hemorrhaging. And so we'll just say adrenal hemorrhage. All right, so adrenal hemorrhage, if you're bleeding bad enough that you shock your adrenal gland acutely, guess what? You're going to be in hemorrhagic shock. Okay, so you're going to be in hemorrhagic shock. So you're going to have low blood pressure and elevated heart rate to try and compensate your cardiac output failure. All right, so if you lose all your blood, you basically go into shock. Shock, by definition, has a low blood pressure, and so your heart rate ramps up to try and compensate, and you're basically going to be really weak, really lightheaded, and you're going to be bleeding, okay? So what kind of labs do you expect for somebody that has adrenal insufficiency? All right, so somebody that comes in with adrenal insufficiency labs, first thing I want to look at is actually their sodium level. Because what did we say you were losing? We said you were losing primarily the zona glomerulosa and the zona fasciculata. Well, the glomerulosa is where aldosterone is made. All right, so if you have low aldosterone, guess what your sodium level is going to be? Well, you're not going to be able to raise it, so you have low sodium. All right, and if your aldosterone's low, you can't suppress your potassium and cause excretion. All right, so you actually get potassium retention. All right, so you have low sodium and high potassium in these patients that have adrenal insufficiency. All right, and so something else that's important is remember what aldosterone does to your hydrogen ions. Aldosterone can cause you to secrete your hydrogen ions. So let me add this up into our picture here. So it can cause you to secrete your hydrogen ions. So if you don't have the ability to secrete your hydrogen ions, that means that with adrenal insufficiency, you're going to have retention of hydrogen ions. Okay, so this is your physio-tie-in. So if you have adrenal insufficiency, you have low aldosterone, which means low sodium, retention of potassium, and retention of hydrogen ions. And so that's going to cause actually a metabolic acidosis. All right, so that causes metabolic acidosis. And you're not retaining any kind of inorganic acid. It's just you're basically retaining hydrogen ions. So what is that? It's going to be a non-anion gap metabolic acidosis. So non-anion gap metabolic acidosis. Okay, and so let's just break it down from the top again. So you have underactive adrenals. It's either acute or chronic. Acute, we said, is from adrenal hemorrhage. So you're going to have a low blood pressure and an elevated heart rate. Well, what could cause this adrenal hemorrhage? So most commonly, number one is going to be, on board questions at least, it's going to be Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. All right, so look for Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. Okay, so Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome, for anybody that started their sketchies, you're going to know that that's associated with Neisseria meningitidis. So that's caused by Neisseria meningitidis. Okay, so basically meningitis from Neisseria, it can affect your adrenals and cause them to bleed really bad. All right, and so if that happens, then you get this acute adrenal hemorrhage.
Thank you guys so much for joining today. If you found that was helpful, find me on Instagram at Action Potential Mentoring and shoot me a DM saying what your favorite part of today's lesson was. If you have any questions or you'd like some personalized one-on-one assistance with preparing for the USMLE, learning what it takes to become a stellar applicant and matching into your dream specialty, DM me the words VIP Mastermind. Again, that's VIP Mastermind. Talk to you soon.